folks, welcome back to my channel, and I know that I have already put up a video about this topic and I've taken it down because on the rewatch of the video itself I wasn't quite happy with it, so I thought no, I'm going to do it again and try and do it a bit better. So this video I am going to be talking about the Kailyard School and the Anti Kailyard Movement, which were two movements within Scottish literature, which essentially were at their height or kind of really popular, or at their most popular, at the end of the 19th century, possibly into the early 20th. And I thought it'd be something that would be of interest for those who are interested in Scottish literature. Before I do get on to talking about this topic in greater depth, a wee bit of housekeeping first. If you're enjoying my channel, if you're enjoying my videos, if you can click on the subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And I will also post a link to my channelscoffee.com page in the description bar below and in a pinned comment in the comments section if you're wanting to support the channel further. So with that out of the road, on to the main topic of the video itself. So with the Kailyard School and the Kailyard Movement, the Kailyard School came first, and the Anti Kailyard Movement was very much a reaction to what was being seen in the Kailyard School itself. So I'll start talking about the Kailyard School first. So with the Kailyard School, it was a movement that was seen as taking place some things online were saying it was like the 1880s into the 1890s, but I was also seeing the dates given as being the 1880s up to 1914. So it was kind of roughly the end of the 19th century into the start of the 20th century. But pretty much it depends who you talk to. And it very much saw fiction that was filled with overly sentimental, idealistic, and very much represented Scotland as being this rural idyll, and that very much represented people living in Scotland as having this very rural life that wasn't really concerned with urban development or what was going on within like the cities or elsewhere. And everything was very much presented as being happy and very kind of almost nostalgic. It has this very kind of nostalgic feel about it. And the term Kailyard itself actually essentially just means a cabbage patch, or it's almost like a wee kind of just a wee vegetable garden. So again, very much plays on the whole rural idyll that this movement within Scottish literature was very much trying to present. And one of the most famous books associated with the Kailyard movement is Beside the Bonnie Briar's Bush, a bit of a mouthful, and that was written by Ian McLaurin. Even though that is the most, even though that's a book that is mostly associated with the Kailyard tradition, there are some other books that people do associate with this movement within Scottish literature, which might not really be what people would expect. And one of them is the Odd Lichts Idylls by J.M. Barrie, and the I've got in my notes here, I'm trying to kind of read my really bad handwriting. So it's the Stricket Minister by S.R. Crockett, and I will try and see if I can find any links online if you're wanting to have a wee nose at any of these books. So that's pretty much a quick summary or sum up of the Kailyard tradition. And in reaction to what the Kailyard tradition what the Kailyard tradition was trying to present, there was the Anti Kailyard movement, and it was very much a reaction to Scotland being presented as being this rural idyll. That it was essentially trying to show that, yeah, even though there is a lot of kind of rural communities in Scotland, yeah, it's not the idealistic utopia that people would expect it to be if you just read the Kailyard novels. and there's a lot of drama, conflict, and there's very much a darkness within a lot of the Kailyard novels. And one of probably the most famous Kailyard novel that I can think of, or no, probably the most famous Anti Kailyard novel, I should say, that I can think of. And this is actually one of my favourite novels, because I actually read this, must have been, it was either in first year or third year at university. I was in classes of Scottish literature, and it's called The House with the Green Shutters by George Douglas Brown. I don't have a copy of it with me just now, but it is one of those books that if you are wanting to read any Scottish novels, I would definitely recommend reading The House with the Green Shutters. And again, it is very much a book that takes a lot of the imagery of what you'd expect to find in the Kailyard school, but gives it a very kind of biting edge and kind of always tries to invert it. And it's very much set in a very similar location what you'd expect in a Kailyard novel. And it is very much presented as being far from being idyllic or a happy place at all. And another one that I would recommend would be Gillespie by John MacDonald Hay. So those are very brief overviews of both the Kailyard school and the Anti Kailyard movement. And try and maybe go a bit more in depth looking at both. So with the Kailyard school, it could very much be seen as being a reaction to the Industrial Revolution. So during the Industrial Revolution, a lot of people were moving away from the country, were moving away from having this very much kind of farm-based rural life, moving to the cities, moving to industrialised areas where they were very likely living in slums, living in very cramped, dirty conditions, and even working in very cramped, dirty, dangerous conditions. A lot of the mills, people were losing limbs, were losing their lives. People were end up with lung conditions because they were working in cotton mills, and they hadn't breathed in a lot of the cotton fibres. So a lot of people probably were wanting to have something where they're looking back on a period in time that they may have seen as being better or happier, more idyllic, a life that was as far away from the industrial hell that they were possibly living in at that time. And they were very much wanting to hold on to something that was that made them happy and reminded them of a possible simpler time. And as it was at that time, that Scotland was predominantly moving from a rural to urban industrial landscape. So again, it was a very much a time of upheaval and change, and that probably was why people were looking for something that gave them a view on the past that was possibly through rose-tinted glasses. Yeah, so because of the way that Kailyard School was presenting Scotland, it was criticised, especially as it was seen as presenting Scotland as being simply pastoral, or solely pastoral, very much innocent of the world and world events, and even innocent of events that were taking place within Scotland or Britain in general, which was very far from the case, because it does have to be kept in mind that at this time, this was during the British Empire, and Scotland very much played its part within what was taking place, not just in Britain but across the world. And this can be clearly seen with the fact that Glasgow did have the title of the second city of the empire, which is a name that still crops up now and again if you're talking about the history of Scotland or the history of Glasgow. This is something that will be mentioned at least at some point. But one interesting aspect of the Kailyard School is that it was a literary movement that was very popular within the USA, within Canada and within Australia. And I think that possibly is the fact that within these countries there are a lot of people who are of Scottish descent, Scottish extraction, and who were expats themselves, who are possibly looking for something to remind them of what they remembered or what they were told about life in Scotland. And again, trying to hold on to this idea of Scotland as being this rural idyll, and again still very much looking at Scotland through rose-tinted glasses, and very much presenting Scotland, or trying to preserve Scotland in this rose-tinted bubble, and trying to protect Scotland, whether it be in the present, in the past, or whatever, in this state that really was never really a state that Scotland was ever in. But again, it just was very much Scotland seen through a very nostalgic gaze. So again, that does play into why the Kailyard movement, or the Kailyard School, was very much being criticised and viewed as being maybe not as worthy as other genres by a lot of literary scholars. And again, that was very much what the Anti Kailyard movement was railing against, what they were trying to fight back against. What it was almost as if they were trying to burst the bubble that the Kailyard School was trying to envelop Scotland. I know that idea of Scotland with. They were trying to go no, that's not Scotland. That's not how we want Scotland to be seen. And yeah, but in recent years, there has been a move towards maybe rehabilitating the Kailyard School or the Kailyard movement, and maybe reevaluating its value and its role within Scottish literature in general. And again, even though the Anti Kailyard School might not be what I would, even though the Kailyard School is not what I would personally choose to read, if I was given the choice, I probably would go for an Anti Kailyard novel. It's still very much a valid take on what is an interesting aspect of Scottish literature. And there have been some works, or some academic works written looking at the Kailyard School and again trying to carry out this re-evaluation. And as well as the novels that I've previously mentioned, there are a couple of books that could be of interest if you're wanting to carry out some more reading on the Kailyard School and the Anti Kailyard movement. These are the two that I've came across online, if you want to look them up. There's the Kailyard, or it's just Kailyard, A New Assessment, and it was written by Ian Campbell and came out in 1981. And there's Kailyard and Scottish Literature by Andrew Nash, which came out in 2007. I will try and see if I can get links for them. I'm sure there are links for them online on Amazon, but if I remember correctly, they were quite expensive. So again, they could be something they could probably try and see if we can maybe get copies of in a second-hand store or something. But again, looking at the Kailyard School and the Anti Kailyard movement is definitely a really interesting aspect of Scottish literature, and yeah, it's definitely worth time kind of reading the novels associated with both movements. So hopefully you will have enjoyed this video, hopefully you will be intrigued by this aspect of Scottish literature, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.